Hey guys, Ray the Wizard here. So yesterday, the Marvel Rivals community took a huge hit as a Seattle-based support studio was completely laid off in its entirety. Let's talk about it. So first things first, let's cover the most crucial topic here. It sucks when you're part of such a successful game like Marvel Rivals, and your reward is getting axed. I mean, honestly, it sucks getting axed no matter what, especially if you're good at your job, which a lot of these developers showed that they were. And for them to just be cut like that on a core level, it's the worst. It's the worst. It makes you feel like nobody's safe. Like, why even put your effort and your passion and your heart on your sleeve and invest so much in this if your reward is going to be axed? So my heart goes out to all those developers out there. I'm sure you guys are going to land on your feet. um there's talent seeping from every orifice of that game, and any other developer or developing company or any company in general can clearly see that. So I hope you guys end up where you want to be, and I hope that at least you get a decent enough severance package, which I don't think you're gonna, to kind of last you there. So with that said, was I really surprised about all this? Not really, unfortunately. One thing I feel like a lot of us really need to keep in the back of our minds, especially as gamers in this kind of um, environment now, is that NetEase isn't a developing company. They're not like Larion, right? They're not just a company full of gamers and passionate people. They're a corporation. They are a corporate business. And so they end up falling under the whole corporate business ideology, workflow, all of that. And a big part of that is, especially if you're a big company, when you're launching something, like a new product, a new service, something like that, you want to pad the launch as much as possible so that it goes by as smooth as possible. You want to ensure that your clients and your customers have the best possible experience starting off. And you want to make sure that the first impression people get of your product or service is a great one. And game development is no different, especially launching of games. How many games have you seen or been a part of where they've launched with bugs or issues or, big day one patches and stuff like that? Marvel Rivals didn't have any of that. At least not to my knowledge. I didn't play as fervently as most people, but for the most part, it was a pretty smooth launch. It was a great launch. It kind of changed the whole genre of gaming, um, for that kind of game. And once that's done, unfortunately, as a corporation, as a business, you look at this game and then you start looking at operational costs and how to minimize that while maximizing as much profit as possible. Most of us already knew that by the simple fact of being free to play, that this game was going to monetize itself in one way or another. That's where you got the loot crates, the cash shop, stuff like that. And I think that's the direction they're going to go. And so when you're just needing to make sure that the game runs smoothly, right? Restart some services, bounce a server, whatever, right? You don't need game developers for that. You don't need level designers. You don't need sound designers. You don't need sound engineers. You don't need mechanic engineers, game mechanics. You don't need a lot of that stuff. And unfortunately, it feels like that Seattle based studio was delivering a lot of that. And like any kind of corporate product, it's time to move past that phase. And so, unfortunately, they are just a product of the corporate workflow. It's not like that team was actually a part of NetEase. They were probably just hired for that specific purpose. Once that's done, bye. And that's the issue we see with a lot of game companies. They're game companies first rather than people of passion, right? And that's you can't be mad at that. Like I said, at the very end of the day, these are companies, these are businesses. These entities need to thrive and succeed. That's the very nature of it. And so stories like this, unfortunately, are going to be commonplace, especially with these big companies. You don't see stuff like this with Larion and some of these smaller developer studios because they're just a studio full of passionate people who focus on a single project. Whereas NetEase has a whole scope of things that they build. They have the mobile games, they have this, they have a lot of things that they're building, and so they have to budget. They're constantly spending money to ensure that these games get pumped out. And so you got to save when you can. And unfortunately, for that team in Seattle, that was a space to save money from. And it sucks. It really sucks. My personal opinion on all this was expected. Unfortunately, I looked at all the money it was saving or making, and I looked at the gang busting and all that stuff, and I started to ask myself, okay, well, where's the median? Where are they going to want to sit comfortably as far as spending money, and then from there on make money? So my heart goes out to you guys out there in Seattle. It sucks, especially being so successful, but I feel like that success may hopefully help you out in finding a better job in the future. As for Marvel Rivals, I suck at the game anyways. Battle arena shooters aren't my thing, so I'm not going to be playing it anyways. But what are your opinions? Are you going to still play it knowing that NetEase went the whole corporate company route and did what corporate companies do? Does that even bother you? Is it still going to affect you? Or is it just the ELO that you care about? Either way is fine. No judgment here. After all, we're all just here to play a game at the end of the day, right? Even if we had the power to do something about it, um, how often could you do that? This isn't just an isolated story. This happens to everybody. EA, Ubisoft laying off all these people. You see it all the time in these companies, and that's just the corporate world. Anyways, that's been my rant. Um, Hopefully you guys stay safe out there. Hopefully you guys stay gainfully employed. And yeah, let me know what you think. Blow up the comments, shoot that like. Let's start a discussion here because I feel like we are at a precipice of sorts. I think now we are seeing kind of the clash between corporate, I don't want to say corporate America because it happens all along the globe, but corporate mindset to passionate creative gamer mindset. And I want to see how that how those clash with each other because the same thing happened to the music industry. It became too corporate and now they pump out all these dime a dozen radio hits. And we're starting to see the equivalent of that in gaming where we see these dime a dozen gaming just games, right? But anyways, that's another topic for another whole other video. Sorry guys, NetEase, keep making that money no matter who you fire, right? No matter who you cut, no matter whose lives you ruin, just keep making that money. And I guess we're just going to keep eating it. See y'all later.